Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yeong-Junaq. I'll be the moderator for this session. I am the Senior Research Fellow at the Science and Technology Policy Institute. This is a very important session indeed. In Asia, as you can see, there are some established and advanced science parks who have started early on, while there are also some newcomers and emerging science parks that are trying to catch up. And in this session, we're going to try to discuss the role of advanced STPs for emerging STPs, to try to share these best practices and have the emerging STPs learn from the lessons. We have many presentations today with us today from SCAP of UN and the Hsinchu Science Park Bureau, as well as from Turkey, the Istanbul Technopolis Entertech. So we'll go straight into the session. We would first like to hear from the UN SCAP presentation. Can we begin?
Hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to share my understanding on Science and Technology Park with you. My presentation is based on a reference book prepared by United Nations SCAP. Later on, I will inform you how to download this book if you wish to do so. In my presentation, I will address three issues. Why do we need this guidebook? What are the preconditions before a science and technology park is developed? What are key policy recommendations? The success story of Silicon Valley has inspired the development of science and technology parks. This graph shows the trend of the numbers of science technology parks worldwide. Since the 1980s, the number of science technology parks had increased dramatically. According to UNESCO, there were an estimated 534 science and technology parks worldwide by 2017, including 169 science technology parks in Asia and the Pacific. Of course, we must be cautious about such figure, as the number may vary depending on how we define a science technology park. Most science technology parks are located in advanced or large economies. However, it is important to note that the science and technology parks are more and more often found in developing countries in Asia. Establishment of science technology park often corresponds to the economic development in a country. In a less developed economy, it's more feasible to begin with establishment of industrial parks in order to take advantage of competitive advantage, such as low-cost labor, natural resources, or closer to seaport. As the economy advances, it's become relatively easier to establish science and technology parks due to the underlying foundation available, including research capacity, human resources, and an active entrepreneurial environment. On the other hand, it's important to note that not all science and technology parks are successful. One study found that a larger percentage of science parks in the United States either end up outright failure or contribute little to economic objectives, reporting that only a quarter of science parks achieve their goals. Another 1/4 became purely real estate operations that contribute little to economic objectives, and half of them just failed. In Asia, Hong Kong Science Park can be regarded as a success in many ways. However, when Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government decided to allocate approximately $5 billion to its science park, the public is very skeptical about whether the government was spending wisely. Therefore, this guidebook reveals the historical development of science and technology parks and discusses how they fit into the national policies in the region. It serves as a reference source for policymakers in charge of policy or planning related to the development of science and technology parks in Asia and the Pacific. This guidebook is quite comprehensive. Let's highlight some key findings. So, what are the preconditions before a science and technology park is developed? First, the key tenants or the anchor tenants, such as national research institutes, are committed to staying in the science and technology park. Anchor tenants are crucial to ensuring that a science and technology park has its backbone and may be useful in attracting other firms to co-locate. Second, a management team with all the skills necessary for managing the science and technology park can be identified and assembled. The management team need to have expertise in not only research and development, but also business, marketing, negotiation, and communications. Furthermore, the management team must be able to adjust its strategy to an ever-changing environment. Such multiple tasking means, for many developing countries, that assembling an effective management team is a real challenge. Third, a strong science base in the surrounding areas of the science technology parks is already available. This factor is important because a science base in the surrounding areas will provide potential tenants of the science and technology park. In addition, this will ensure that firms within the park can easily communicate with firms outside the park. Fourth, the city or area where a science and technology park will be built is attractive to talented researchers and entrepreneurs. Fifth, an entrepreneurial culture is available in the city or country where a science and technology park will be built. This factor is particularly important if the key objective of a science and technology park is to foster startups and entrepreneurs. So finally, finance, especially seed and venture capital, is available in the city or country where a science and technology park will be built. These resources are critical to support long-term science, technology, and innovation initiatives and build upon existing research. Without checking those precursory conditions, it's very risky to develop a science technology park based on the mindset that if you build it, they will come. If these precursory conditions cannot be met, at least some mitigatory solutions need to be identified. So, what are the policy recommendations in this guidebook? First, a decision on establishment of a science and technology park should be assessed in a broad national and local economic context. It's important to note that to develop a science technology park is never an end in itself. It's a means to an end. Therefore, it's important to understand A, what can be achieved by establishing a science technology park, and B, whether there are better alternative solutions to achieving that goal. Second, before a science technology park is developed, it's essential to check whether those precursory conditions are in place, as we discussed in the previous slide. Third, the social investment in a science technology park needs to be justified by its social benefits. This guidebook shows that the success of science technology parks in Asia-Pacific region has often been due to direct investment or support from national or local government sources. If a government or public sector finances the development of a science technology park or provide another incentive, such as tax exemption or reduction, it's imperative that the science technology park provide social benefits, such as advanced research and development or boost economic development in the region. In this regard, the economic and social contribution of a science technology park to a country should be measured and monitored. Fourth, the effectiveness of incubation and innovation program offered by a science technology park need to be carefully scrutinized. Innovative business idea, as directly associated with entrepreneurial spirit, are often drawn from the market demand. In contrast, many science technology parks are designed in a predictable and mechanical manner, which is inherently incompatible with this spirit of entrepreneurship. In this regard, policymakers need to weigh the pros and cons of all available policy tools before selecting a best solution. Fifth, in the era of digital economy, there are new opportunities for science technology parks. ICT will facilitate cooperation among the partners within and beyond the parks. While there's not a one-size-fits-all solution, the general recommendation in this guidebook can be summarized as 5 Cs: capacity, collaboration, content, capital, and communication. Capacity emphasizes the digital and business skills of all stakeholders in a science and technology park, such as policymakers, the science park management team, and tenants. Collaboration refers to how ICT can be utilized to promote great in-depth collaboration within and beyond a science technology park. Content places emphasis on the local niche market on which a science technology park should focus. Capital refers to venture capital that a startup within a science and technology park should utilize. Finally, communication emphasizes the fact that a science technology park should communicate effectively with the public about its contribution to the local and national economy. And I mentioned earlier, this is quite a comprehensive guidebook. And if you wish to read the guidebook, please, you can download it free of charge. Or you can send me an email to ask how you can find this guidebook. Also, if you have only 5 minutes, you may wish to read a blog I wrote about this guidebook. Thank you very much for your attention. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang, for your presentation. Well, a science park in developing countries are at times established for political reasons, but thanks to UN ESCOP, we have a collection of experience from countries around the world that can be used to consider the science park before its inception. And it also talks about the how in establishing the justification for science parks. It was quite inspiring.
I believe that in the next presentation is also going to be given by someone with the last name Wang, who is the President and Director General of the Asian Science Park Association and the Hsinchu Science Park Bureau, Mr. Yeong-Junaq Wang. I've met him last year, at the end of last year, so it's a pleasure to see him again. We'd like to hear from you now.
Good afternoon. I'm Wang, the President of ASPA and the Director General of Hsinchu Science Park. Today, I will take Hsinchu Science Park as an example to talk about what can advanced science parks do for emerging science parks. We all know that the first science park in the world was set up in 1950 by Stanford University. It is the key factor in the success of Silicon Valley. In 1959, Research Triangle Park started in North Carolina. The concept of science park spread to Europe in the 60s. Sophia Science Park in France. There were 27 science parks in the world in 1970. Then the science park movement influenced Asia. Deok Science Park in Korea and Tsukuba Science City was the early birds in the region. There were about 534 science parks worldwide by 2017, including 169 in Asia and Pacific region. According to Professor Mine's reports in 2005, only 25 of science parks in USA were regarded as successful because they achieved their goal of attracting and fostering R&D activities and contribute to job creation and economic growth. Although there are different cultures and needs between regions, the challenge for new science park are the same. The first is in the planning stage. The second is regarding management model. Is your science park managed by government or by board composed of stakeholders or by private companies? The last, and then, how to attract investment and talents are the most critical issue for a new science park. What makes a successful science park? According to the research done by UK Science Park Association, there are 10 key factors which make a science park successful, including strong science base, supportive policy environment, effective networks, etc. It goes without saying that to learn from others' experiences is the most efficient way to develop a new science park. In recent years, ASPA tried to hold leaders' meetings in an emerging regions, such as 2013 in Bandung, Indonesia, 2014 in Mongolia, and 2019 in Bhutan. Local science park stakeholders can learn the most up-to-date management experiences without traveling abroad. Now I will share you the practice of the Hsinchu Science Park. Let me make a short introduction of Hsinchu Science Park. The park was established in 1980 with the goal of improving domestic industry structure and promoting economic development. After decades of development, Hsinchu Science Park covers an area of 1,375 hectares. Currently, there are more than 600 high-tech companies located in the park, with 162,000 employees. Under the impact of COVID-19, the sales revenue in 2020 reached $42.2 billion, a record high. From statistics, we can say that the Hsinchu Science Park has made great contribution to regional and domestic economic development. Among top 10 richest towns in Taiwan, 9 of them are around in Hsinchu. As for contribution to national economic, the sales revenue of Hsinchu Science Park contributed 6% of national GDP. Hsinchu Science Park is a state-owned science park. The most important services we offer is one-stop services. The Bureau gets authorization from various ministries, from central government and local government. Therefore, anything that the park companies need to apply to the government can be done at the Park Bureau. There are other supporting services organizations and necessary agencies in the park as well. To enhance the cooperation between industry and academia, various programs have been launched in the past years in order to increase cross-domain innovation and technology application, also to increase the production value and expand business opportunities. In regard to talent cultivation, we offer different on-job training courses to park employees to increase companies' competitiveness. Around 9,000 people are trained every year. The subjects are adjusted regularly to meet global industrial trends and future demands. We also put efforts in nurturing young entrepreneurs. The Ministry of Science and Technology selects potential venture teams from campus, and the science parks offer free office space and secretarial support, advisory services such as law, financial, accounting, technical resources such as training courses and venture experiences sharing. Moreover, Science Park Bureau also bridged with the park enterprises so that innovation teams can connect with big companies to attract investment or for technology development. As the Hsinchu Science Park is turning to be mature in development, we are very willing to share our development and management experiences with other parks and take the responsibility in global communities. We have been invited to several allied countries such as Gambia in Africa, Guatemala and Dominica in Central America and Caribbean area. Mongolia, India, and Vietnam is also to assist science park development affairs, such as site selection, master plan consulting, or training courses. In recent years, to realize Taiwan government's new southbound policy, Hsinchu Science Park put more effort to cooperate with Science Park in Southern Asia. India is also a focus area. The changing and complicated international situation in recent years, together with the COVID-19 pandemic, have brought great impacts and change to global industries. Science parks have to respond to these changes. According to the World Economic Forum and IMF reports, we can say that global trends are highly affected by three main factors. The first is a wave of digital technology has become a key driver of disruptive innovation. The second is the trade war between USA and China. The trade war started in 2018, and it triggered the restructuring of global supply chains. Manufacturing USA became an important US policy that influenced the world. The third is the severe impact of COVID-19 pandemic on industry. The ups and downs of the pandemic have not yet seen it end. So the world is clouded by a high degree of uncertainties. The economy is facing the impact of reshaping and restructuring. Since disintegration and restructuring have become the new normal, what should the industry do to face challenges? First is to accelerate digital transformation. Teleworking and the zero contact economy, including unmanned and automation products, remote office, and digital marketing have boomed under the COVID-19 pandemic. It redefined human working and consumption patterns. Next is to improve the resilience of the industry. Industry supply chain has transformed it from globalization to regionalization, and production network and operation model have been reconstructed. Enterprises need to adapt to short-chain production and local manufacturing in order to maintain flexibility. The third is to put more emphasis on social responsibility. People have high expectations for enterprises to solve local, social, and environmental problems, and to pay more attention to the well-being of employees, consumers, and the society. How can Science Park do to cope with the current challenging environment? First is to emphasize on talent recruiting and training. Second, have to emphasize on social networking management in science parks. The last, in order to revitalize innovation ecosystem, it is necessary to enhance partnership between big enterprises and entrepreneurs, or between science park and neighboring community, to promote cross-domain innovation. The challenge is huge, but together we can solve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think it was quite memorable to hear you say that for all of these emerging STPs and for those who are interested in establishing new science parks, that you cannot go back and revert to the old normal, that as Mr. Wang has said, that because we are living in a new environment, We have to be in keeping with the digital transformation and optimize our different management and operations. So for emerging STPs, for those of you interested in building new STPs, you have to focus on the new normal and come up with a very gradual step-by-step approach. Thank you very much.
The next presenter is from Korea. We have with us a director from the Jeju Free International City Development Center. Your presentation, please, Mr. Kang Choonghyo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Choonghyo Kang, and I'm a director of fostering industry of Jeju Science Park Bureau at JDC, whose full name is Jeju Free International City Development Center. I'm very glad and honored to have an opportunity to introduce Jeju Science Park at this event on behalf of my company. I expect my presentation will last about 15 minutes. Today, I'm going to introduce JDC and its main project, of which JDC has been in charge. After that, I will explain project overview of Jeju Science Park, which includes development history and land use plan of JSP. Next, I will brief current status of Jeju Science Park, and then I'm going to highlight major achievement and future plan. Let me explain background of establishment of JDC first. Korean government realized that the nation's economy and industries had to be more globalized to win in the global competition on the globalized economic environment by introducing global standards on public and private industries after it went through financial crisis in 1997. And it came up with an idea of free international city, a special area where free movement of people, goods, and capital are guaranteed with maximum convenience of business activities. And Korean government wanted to use a free international city as a test bed for some industries such as high-tech, education, tourism, and medical to introduce global standards. Therefore, Korean government announced a primary plan to develop Jeju into a free international city in 2001. With each plan to develop Jeju into a free international city, the Korean government enacted a special act for Jeju Free International City and established JDC as a central government agency dedicated to promoting Jeju into a free international city in May 2002. Highlighting on JDC's main mission, the first mission is to push ahead each major project selected from various industries such as high-tech, tourism, education, medical, and environment to enhance their business infrastructure. It also has other missions, including It also has other missions, including promoting investment and marketing activities in order to attract foreign and domestic investment to Jeju Island. It also operates duty-free shops exclusively for domestic travelers as a major income source. Also describing governance structure and working relationship of JDC. JDC is audited and guided by central government Ministry of Land and Transport, and it closely consults with Jeju local government and prime ministers of the central government. In this slide, I'm going to explain JDC's main project briefly, which are located around the island. The first one is Jeju Science Park, which will be highlighted in later part of my presentation. JDC has developed a science park to expand a high-tech industry infrastructure and venture nurturing platform. In addition to existing Jeju Science Park, we are going to develop the second Jeju Science Park to accommodate high-tech companies. Next project is Global Education City project. The purpose of this project is to build the best global educational infrastructure in Northeast Asia. We are currently operating 4 international schools in which more than 4,000 students are studying. And most of graduated students have been accepted by prestigious universities such as Cambridge, Oxford, Stanford, Yale, and Ivy League universities. We are saving about $480 billion US, which could have been spent in overseas country for studying until this year, since the first school opened in 2011. Next project is Myths and History theme park. Purpose of this project is to create best integrated resort complex in Northeast Asia. The site is divided into 4 districts, which will be developed as an integrated resort complex consisting of a theme park, water park, casino hotels, and an eco-friendly theme park based on myths and history of Jeju. Another main project is Healthcare Town project. JDC is promoting Healthcare Town project in the southern part of Jeju Island, which will offer medical and leisure services to tourists and visitors from domestic and overseas. We are also operating an aerospace museum, which is the biggest aerospace-themed museum in Asia. From now on, I would like to introduce Jeju Science Park, which has been developed to build a basis for economic growth of Jeju Island. This science park is located in Jeju City. Its size is approximately 1,100 square meters, and it has been developed from 2003. JDC had invested about $480 million US, and its main industries are including information technology, biotechnology, energy technology, and so on. Looking at history of the Jeju Science Park, it can be divided into 3 stages, such as planning, development, and business support and operation management. To mention some of major milestones, the area was designated as a national industry complex, and JDC was appointed as its developer in 2004. In 2005, groundbreaking work had commenced, and JDC was designated as the management institution for Jeju Science Park consecutively. Construction work for supporting facilities had carried out from 2008 to 2010. Finally, the site construction work was completed in 2010. Regarding business support and operation management, Jeju Smart Work Center was opened in 2011, and the 7th ASPA leaders meeting took place in 2012. During 2018 and 2019, Jeju Innovation Growth Center was opened and groundbreaking work took place for Jeju Industrial Educational Convergence District in JSP accordingly. Talking about land use plan, land for public facility is 42%, industrial land accounts for 38% respectively. In this slide, I will introduce Jeju Innovation Growth Center. Since it was opened by JDC in December 2018, based on a job creation roadmap designed by Ministry of Land and Transport of Korean government, it has been playing a leading role in incubating and accelerating startups in order to support Korean New Deal policy, which aims to transform the economy to make it greener with more digital services and stronger safety nets. Especially, it has been focusing on fostering eco-friendly future mobility, selected as one of the main tasks in Korean New Deal through eco-friendly smart mobility R&D center located in the Jeju Innovation Growth Center by operating an electric vehicle laboratory in which mobility startups can carry out various technical tests and research activities. Apart from this eco-friendly smart mobility R&D center, Jeju Innovation Growth Center has other components, including ICT Convergence Startup Hub, which is an ICT-based culture and art-related startups nurturing platform. Nangkeunul, which is a social economy platform. And lastly, J-Cube, which runs the employment support program, including job matching and customized employment consulting. Jeju Innovation Growth Center is aiming to become a hub of vitalizing local economy through job creation and supporting Korean New Deal related startups. Consequently, there are 51 startups which attracted $15 million investment, and 165 jobs has been created since it was opened. JDC is also doing its best to enhance business and working environment for residing companies and their employees by providing common facilities such as JDC PR Lounge, Smart Work Center, various meeting rooms, and other amenities such as fitness center. JDC is also enhancing business supporting system for tenant companies, as you can see. Because of time interest, I'm going to summarize this JDC's business supporting activities. And also JSP has been making an effort to build strong overseas network to learn and share science park management know-hows and skills, resulting in supporting business entities in a more competitive and efficient way. In this slide, from this slide, I would like to highlight achievement JSP has made up to now. The Science Park has been working as a backbone of Jeju's high-tech industry growth. It is accommodating 193 companies. The total revenue of the park was $3.6 billion, which accounts for 15% of Jeju's total GRDP. And about 3,000 jobs have been created in the park as of 2020. I will skip this part. I'm going to explain a future plan of Jeju Science Park. As industrial land in the current JSP are not more available, JDC is developing the second Jeju Science Park adjacent to the existing JSP to form high-tech industry cluster and strengthen high-tech industry in Jeju since 2014. The land area will be about 850,000 square meter and $196 million will be invested until 2025. The major business categories for the second science park will be IT/BT, ET-related businesses, and research institutions. Let me share my conclusion of my presentation. As you may know, in 2022, ASPA annual conference is scheduled to take place at Jeju Science Park. It means that Jeju Science Park has been recognized as one of the world's leading science parks. I believe that success of Jeju Science Park was attributed to learning from and interacting with advanced science parks at our early stage through global network of ASPA. Now, I'm sure that Jeju Science Park can also be seen as a good example for emerging science and technoparks. I'll be glad if we can have an opportunity to share, exchange our know-how and management experience with emerging science parks and technoparks for success of science parks around the Asia. Thank you very much for listening my long presentation. See you in Jeju next year fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Kang. Thank you very much for finishing your presentation on time. In particular, thank you for sharing your intentions to share your know-how with the emerging STPs. Next year, we look forward to an offline conference in Jeju.
Next, we would like to hear of the situation in Istanbul, Turkey. We would like to hear from Dr. Yasin Erol, who will be talking about the role of Istanbul Technopolis in interactions of entrepreneurship ecosystem in Turkey, how the Istanbul Technopolis Entertech facilitated these aspects, and he's going to talk about actual case examples in his presentation. Dr. Yasin Erol, please.
Thanks very much. Can you hear my voice, by the way, and my presentation? Shall I start? Yeah. My name is Yasin Erol. I'm from Turkey, from Istanbul University Science Park. We are just started this Science Park in 2011 and as Istanbul University and Istanbul University Cerrahpaşa, which is oldest universities in Turkey. And let me give you some numbers. And for Istanbul University, we have 20 faculties, 12 vocational schools, 2 institutes, and 4,128 academicians, and 280,000 nearly students. And for the other university, we have 12 faculties and 6 vocational schools, 5 institutes, and 1,993 academicians, and 33,000 nearly students as well. And this is established at 1453, which is oldest one in the world as well. In Turkish science parks ecosystem, I would like to give you some total numbers actually from Turkey. And as a science parks, we have 88 science parks in Turkey, which is 72 of them, it's ongoing, and so it's about 16 of them just making some construction at the moment. And we have in 72 science parks, we have 6,818 companies. This is all R&D companies, technology developed. And we have 338 foreign companies as well, and 1,440 academician companies, and nearly 70,000 R&D staff, employers, and 41,520 completely, we are just ongoing projects. And at the moment, we have 1,131, so it's about 1 billion Turkish lira total sales, 131 billion Turkish lira total sales, and it's about $6.2 billion total exports so far. And as an Istanbul Technopolis, which is Istanbul University and Istanbul University Cerrahpaşa Technopark, we are just established on 14,500 square meter closed area and 40,000 square meter total area. And we have, at the moment, 119 R&D companies, which is, we just started, just run up in 2014. Normally, we just established in 2012, but just run up 2014. It starts from nearly 50 companies, and at the moment, we have 119. And we have, at the moment, in our area, 1,192 R&D staff, and totally 144 R&D projects. And in our Technopark, in our Technopark's R&D startup and R&D and startup companies, they do total income in 2020, 452 million Turkish lira total income they do. And for Istanbul Technopolis, we have some sectoral distribution. We have the big side is big part of our cake is software companies, which is 48%. And the second one is informatics companies. And the third one is electric and electronic companies, and biotechnology companies, and chemistry, health and machine production, and energy companies we have in our science park. This is some pictures from our ecosystem and some of our buildings like that. And in this Turkish ecosystem, we have 3 parts, especially 3 parts together, works, which is one part is government side. And they do, especially the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, they are giving some supports to startup companies for the beginning, for that's mean is seed finance. And the other part is from the government is COSGAP, which is SME Development Organization. They are giving some seed finance as well to our startup companies. And the second step, when they accept their own projects, we are just accepting them to our science parks to give them some exemptions in our science parks, which is what kind of exemptions? For example, corporation tax, they don't pay any corporation tax, and they don't pay any personal income tax, and they don't pay here in our area value-added tax as well, and even they don't pay environment cleaning tax as well in our areas. And we are giving this kind of support to startup companies as well. So we are just making triangle, like government side, university, and science. We are just making, bring them together in our science parks areas. And we are just developed, especially they just started in 2013. Normally, the first one is just started in beginning of 2000s, but actually they just spread to other universities as well. Technology transfer offices, they just established at 2013, which is we have in Turkey about nearly 40 technology transfer office. So we are just bringing them together to give them some mentorship programs, some coaching systems, some promoting the awareness of internal and external partners regionally, nationally, and internationally. We are just giving them some mentorship programs via technology transfer office in our science parks areas. I'm just taking off some page actually, which is going to be a little bit long time. And technology transfer office, we are giving university industry cooperation management to reach potential industrialists through actions such as visits to companies and promotion activities. And technology transfer office, they are just visiting companies and university sites, academicians, then bring them together. And other thing is, with the technology transfer office, this other service is about intellectual property rights and licensing management. This is international and local patent application service. We are giving this service as well in technology transfer office. And the other thing is preparing the necessary conditions for the business idea owners to test their ideas before founding company, marketing the business idea, development of the business model, finding the correct partner, giving training on company foundation, giving support to ones who want to proceed on their entrepreneurship activities by directing them to grants given by government organizations at Turkish Science and Technology Council. And we started via TÜBİTAK, which is Turkish Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey. We just started BIGG program, which is big program, which we are giving seed finance to startup companies, which is at the moment, the amount is 200,000 Turkish lira. And when we give this fund to entrepreneurs, to startups, and we are giving via TÜBİTAK, second and third step foundation as well, and later on. And with this seed finance, the opportunity to create prototypes for new entrepreneurs who have business ideas and who can apply for big program. And we are just making them 5 parts of people, which is entrepreneurs, candidates, makes an application to Istanbul Technopolis with his innovative and technological business idea. Students who will be able to graduate from any undergraduate program at least in 1 year prior. And third one is international students can apply for this program. And the fourth one, who have graduated from undergraduate, graduate or doctoral degree previous graduation, maximum 10 years ago. And the last one is which they can apply, academicians as well. And we are making like these kind of leaflets and just passing through from here. And at the moment, so far, we are just over 2,000 technological ideas were received on the web portal. And the end of the evaluation process, 60 successful ideas were qualified for the next round. And 60 hours training and mentoring sessions were realized at the design for incubation. And 110 entrepreneurs made presentations to government side to be funded to their business ideas. And 40 of them were awarded from government side for their successful business ideas. And of course, as in everywhere, we are doing pre-incubation centers like these kind of, and lecture site as well. And this is, we just established, and from the 2017, we established IQ program, which is International Incubation Institute. With this program, we are just bringing startup or scale-up companies to our science park. We are giving them some information, some lectures, some mentorship programs. And then it's about 2 or 3 months later when they ready to make them ready to go to international, we are just taking them to make them together with the investors in London. And it was actually our first part of our program. And it's going to be, next step is going to be the other countries as well, which is in United States ventures, and in Europe side, the other Europe side ventures, and Asian side ventures. And we're going to bring them together with the startups and venture capitals. iCube, as an international accelerator program of International Incubation Institute, provides training, consulting, mentoring, and strategy development for technology-based companies to prepare its product services for sale, to increase existing capacities of those that make sales, to provide access to global market, and enter into suitable partnership with potential investors. Who can participate to iCube, which is International Incubation Institute, and science parks, incubation, SMEs, and entrepreneurs? They can apply for iCube program. And iCube provides acceleration programs, which is prepares products or services of technology-based companies for sale, directs with professional training and mentors, development. We give just this kind of service development, increases the existing capacities of the technology companies that make sales, prepare startups to being scale up, to reach funding resources that they needed, and globalization, this is our main scope, to give service, provides access to international markets, includes in business development networks located in abroad, and met with the investors, which is the second huge support for entrepreneurs, meets with national and international investors networks, creates appropriate business partnerships with potential investors. And we did iCube Demo Day firstly in Istanbul. It was the last, to be honest with you, before pandemic, we could do that on face-to-face. In pandemic, while in pandemic, we couldn't do last year actually. And hopefully in 2022, we will continue ongoing programs again in Istanbul and in London. And we work some venture capitals networks actually, Istanbul Startup Angels, IDA Capital, KT Portfolio, Bosphorus Ventures, Borsa Istanbul, Special Markets, ACT, DCP, and this kind of venture capitals we worked with. And thanks very much for your listening to me. And again, I'm deeply thank you to have an opportunity to give an information about how we run Turkish entrepreneurial ecosystem. And thanks very much.
Please give him a big round of applause. That was Dr. Yasin Erol. Thank you very much for the presentation. We heard about the situation in Turkey of how your science park was instrumental in trying to foster this startup ecosystem with this iCube program and the big program. It sounds very big, in fact. Thank you very much.
We now have the last presentation of the session. We have with us Mr. Hyunyoung, a team leader for the Korea Technopark Promotion Association. Are you ready? Good afternoon. As have been introduced, I am Hyunyoung of the Korea Technopark Promotion Association. It is indeed a great pleasure to meet you. Hello to the participants from Laos, Cambodia, and other participants. Many of the emerging STPs are benchmarking Korea's STPs. Let me take this opportunity to talk to you about Korea's model, KTP model, as well as our ODA models. Today, I would like to start with the background and status of technoparks in Korea, as well as the KTPA as networking hub for 19 TPs and supporting the localization of the KTP model. First, the characteristics of Korean techno models. In the 60s and 70s, we had industrial parks, and in the 70s and 80s, we had research parks led by the government. Technoparks started in 1995 with the effect of decentralization. They were built to facilitate the local economy, and in 1998, 8 testbeds were established. If we take a look at the concept of technoparks, they are the Korean version of science parks. They are defined to be technically intensive industry parks with a core function of R&D, manufacturing, and support. So you can see that it is actually a technically intensive industry park. Technoparks are able to supplement the shortcomings of individual projects as a one-stop activity under one roof. Technoparks have become the hub for balanced development in Korea, as well as contributing to stronger national competitiveness. There are 3 key roles for technoparks. First is to build infrastructure. We are constructing industrial infrastructure as spaces, as well as R&D equipment. Second is vision provider. We are able to set up regional industry promotion policies. And the third role is company supporter, to establish and link company support systems. Technoparks as infrastructure builders, vision providers, and company supporters, we have grown through 3 steps. The first step was the creation of space, which is the development of hardware. Stage 2 is the constitution of organization, which is the software aspect. We continue to grow internally and externally, and we have technoparks as you see today. As we go through stages 1, 2, and 3, we established the testbeds in 1998, and they are located in Incheon, Gyeonggi, Chungnam, Gwangju, Daegu, and Gyeongbuk. We have added 8 technoparks since 2000, and ever since 2005, we also have privately established technoparks in 4 areas, including Seoul. And in 2019, the last technopark to be established was the Sejong Technopark, which brings us to 19 technoparks in 17 metropolitan cities and provinces. Next, let's take a look at the major functions and features. We have regional strategic hub functions and technological innovation hub functions. As a regional strategic hub, we facilitate regional policy planning, as well as establishing the link between industry, academia, and the government. As for the Technical Innovation Hub, we operate support systems for company growth, support equipment use, pilot production, and use and expansion of achievements. Next, let's take a look at KTPA. KTPA is the network hub for 9 technoparks, and what we do is we nurture regional innovation base and conduct globalization of Korean technoparks. The major role of KTPA is to provide consultation for opinions and consultations, promotion of KTP performance, hosting 19 TP joint participation events, and cooperation with central government and institutions. Let's take a look at the details of what KTPA does. We were established in 2006, and we have 19 full-time members. As I mentioned before, we facilitate communication between technoparks, central local governments, and related organizations for better networking. This is to facilitate the growth of technoparks. And as major businesses, we nurture local and regional innovation and the globalization of Korean technoparks so that we can play a major role in contributing to the competitiveness of the local and national economies. As a part of the globalization of technoparks, we share our experience. On behalf of 19 technoparks, KTPA signs MOUs with local innovation organizations and overseas related organizations. A prime example is our work with Korea Innovation Center in Silicon Valley, SHTP of Vietnam, GITA of Georgia, and Biaya University of Algeria. We work on technology transfer and information sharing. In this chapter, let's take a look at the features of the Korean model. By sharing the features of the Korean model, I would like to take a look at why emerging STPs are focusing on the Korean model. First, considering the institution, Korean TP model has a system to promote regional industries. We organize councils with members of central and local governments, which brings together the cooperation of the central and local governments. Second, we operate and manage integrated budget, and we make sure that we unify regional industrial promotion plans for fostering strategic industries centered on TPs. We guarantee stability of operation through localization and legislation. We maintain the stability and consistency of the operation of TPs through special legislation. Step 4 tells us that we ensure efficiency by promoting competition. Management conditions and regional industry promotion plans are evaluated every year by the central government. Let's take a look at the second feature. The Korean TP model provides policy development model to promote regional industries, and it can be applied as local economic development models. If we compare ourselves to advanced STPs, we have quickly taken root. In Western countries, STPs took about 3 decades to take root, but we actually only took a decade. This enables the development in a short amount of time, which is why emerging STPs are so interested in the Korean model. In a nutshell, we have a governance that joins central and local governments. We work on strategic industries of local areas, and we also have systematization of the support. The Korean KTP model is not of interest only to emerging countries, but also the OECD. The OECD has mentioned that technoparks played a key role in mobilizing regional innovation, and they believe that it's a benchmarking model for emerging STPs. We have been able to develop software and hardware very successfully, which is why many countries are interested in Korea's technoparks. Against the backdrop of such interest, the KTPA actually conducts global training programs. Through the global training programs, we share unique experiences and technologies accumulated in the development process of Korea for the developing countries. Here you can see scenes from the global training program especially our training for capacity building in emerging countries. And we also have a scene from global training on enhancing biohealth related capacity. We provide global training programs to facilitate the development of the recipient countries, as well as to build friendship between our two nations. ODA is utilized to support Uzbekistan, Georgia, Algeria, and Paraguay, as well as other countries to provide our training program. The KTP model is provided to countries that are emerging. We are utilizing the unique capabilities of Korea to contribute to the developing economies. We actually believe that technology development training is the way to fight poverty, and this lesson comes from our own experience. The direction of the KTP model forms in the following way, and we believe that this direction is in line with the need of the emerging countries. The ODA on KTP model, which contributes to the industrialization of developing countries, promoting win-win ODA based on local needs, and mutual growth with recipient countries. And here you can see the three directions. First, we wish to contribute to the industrialization of the recipient countries, and we provide a differentiated model based on the unique experience of Korea. Second, we have a win-win ODA based on the local needs. It's an implementation of a give-and-take ODA model. We foster professional technical manpower and strengthen industry competitiveness in the recipient countries. And we establish a global production base and expand overseas markets. The last model is mutual growth. It supports the balanced national development of recipient countries and strengthens technological capabilities as well as strengthen industrial competitiveness to lay down the foundation for an independent industrial development. Next, let me talk about the dissemination of the KTP model. These are some of the successful ODA cases. First is the Korea-Vietnam Incubator Park project. We were able to share the know-how of the Korean TP model, and we also supported the attraction of KVIP investment companies and tenant companies. Second, we have a Ethiopia Textile Technopark creation project. This project to create the Ethiopia Textile Technopark is being facilitated by the Gyeongbuk Technopark, and in an existing industrial park, we are establishing a textile technopark to facilitate the development of the textile industry in Ethiopia. And it will also become a base to export to the US and Europe. We also have the Jeonbuk Technopark conducting the Uzbekistan Agricultural Machinery R&D Creation Project and the Thailand Science Park Korea Technology Startup and Childcare Center Operation Project. Thus far, I have talked about our model as well as how we disseminate our model. Through the presentation, we took a look at the features of our model, which are of interest to the developing countries. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Ms. Yoon, for sharing with us the KTP model of Korea and sharing with us the history of the model. It seems that she has covered a whole semester of information in just 20 minutes. Thank you very much for your presentation. As she has emphasized, the Korean Technopark model is being shared with emerging technoparks and science parks, and it seems that creating a win-win strategy is very unique and very inspiring. This brings us to the end of the day. it seems that there are about 2 questions that have been brought up by our online audience. First is, how do we download the ESCOP guidebook? Well, this was mentioned in the presentation. You can download it off of the ESCOP website. And the second question was to Hassan of Iran. And he talked about how there is a Jeju hub being established. Are there any limitations? I don't believe that there are any limitations, but we will make sure that we contact Hassan through SAP. It seems that we are behind our schedule, so if there are no particular questions, we will end the session here. For additional questions, please email us or send your questions to us through the online platform. Thank you.